All right, welcome to Political Voice on VOP TV. I am Moses Humphrey. Now let's take you around the world for the latest stories making headlines globally. Now we begin in Israel, where military officials have discovered unspeakable horrors in an Israeli community that was attacked by Hamas on Saturday, including dozens of dead babies, some with their heads chopped off. Well, according to local Israeli outlets, I-24 News, Israel Defense Forces, IDF, soldiers moved into Kfar Aza, one of the communities Hamas terrorists invaded early Saturday morning, and discovered about 40 dead babies, some decapitated, highlighting the brutality of the invading forces. Now, the IDF were removing the babies of victims found in the area when they found the children's remains. Israeli soldiers are attempting to use bones to identify the victims. Moving away from there to Afghanistan, another strong earthquake shook part of western Afghanistan on Wednesday morning after an earlier quake killed more than 2,000 and flattened whole villages. The latest magnitude 6.3 earthquake was about 28 kilometers outside Herat, the capital of Herat province, and 10 kilometers deep. Wednesday's quake has injured at least 80 people, and a landslide has blocked main Herat to Gondi highway. Now bringing it back home to Nigeria, the Army's Special Court Martial on Tuesday convicted a former group managing director of Nigerian Army Properties Limited, NAPL, Umaru Muhammad, a major general, to 7 years imprisonment. The court also ordered the convicted senior officer to refund $2.17 million and 1.06 billion naira, the amount of monies he stole, back to the company's coffers. Pronouncing the sentence, the president of the court, James Miam, a major general, said the officer was found guilty on 14 of the 18 count charges brought against him. Mian said the sentence was based on the provisions of the Criminal Code Act, caption C38 Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004, and Section 174 of the Armed Forces Act, Cap 20 Laws, 2004. Well, you have him on your screen there in a wheelchair. Well, according to him, the verdict was made after due consideration of the plea of mitigation by the Defense Counsel. But Mian said that on count 1, which borders on stealing, Mohammed was found guilty and will spend 5 years in prison and refund $1.04 million back to NAPL. One wonders how is it that when people steal, or when people are accused of stealing and they're taken to court, you now see them on wheelchair, all of a sudden they're sick. You know, they're looking all sick and all that. Oh well, I have with me in the studio Tochukwu Ezukama, and together we'll be talking about our major talking points, which I will let you into very shortly. Or may I say welcome to Political Voice. Yes, you will comment. I know you want to comment, but you will comment. Now, that's a roundup. That's it on the global roundup. We now move our main topics up, so you get to find out what exactly we're talking about today. First, we track the upcoming governorship election in Bayelsa State, where the candidate of the APC has been disqualified by a court. But Timothy Silva, he has said, well, that's the topic. That's what we are having right here. So let's have your comments on the headline shared so far. All right.
Well,
and then
the thing is that it's wonderful that the Major General, was being convicted for all the offenses he committed. The problem of Nigeria, for the most part, is that people do not get punished for criminal offenses. So it's good he was sentenced to 7 years imprisonment, and I will refund the money he has stolen. I also the news on the fighting in Israel between Hamas and Israeli soldiers caught my attention. The thing is that we have to see this, put this in perspective. Most Nigerians tend to look at the problem in the Middle East from the backdrop of the Bible, the stories of the Jews, but that's not what is happening in the Middle East. In the Middle East, the Jews were defeated by the Romans. They had revolted against the Romans. And in AD 70, the Romans defeated them and drove them from Palestine. So they went to different parts of the world. They were very successful in Germany and Poland and in Spain. And then in 1948, they came back. They needed a homeland because they kept wandering for centuries in Europe. So they returned to a homeland in Palestine. So the Palestinians lived there for more than 2,000 years before the Jews returned. And when the Jews returned, a part of Palestine was set up for the Jews. They drove the Palestinians in that area, created a refugee problem, and established the Jewish state. The thing is that the Jews will learn to coexist with the Palestinians. And in subsequent wars, they expanded, they seized Palestinian land. That is, they went beyond the UN-approved boundaries for Israel and seized Arab lands. And the UN Resolution 242 demanded that Israel move back from occupied territories, return it to the Palestinians. And the Jews are refusing to do that. You keep expanding in Palestinian land, keep treating Palestinians like animals, blockade their place, they are under military rule, there's no respect for human rights, kill them at will, women, children, and just turn the place upside down. Desmond Tutu, who is from South Africa, once went to Israel and said that the way the Israelis treat the Palestinians reminded him so much of apartheid, the way the whites in South Africa treated the blacks. So it's very important, extremely important, that Hamas periodically strike Israel to remind Israel that there is no hope in occupation. You can't hold people down in
No, but that strike was, that particular strike was unprovoked, and
it was out of injustice. The people of, what would the Nigerians say? The people of Palestine are like people that has a boot, a soldier with a boot on their neck. You have to let them breathe. You've held them down in their own country, seized their place. And Jewish settlers are expanding, taking more and more and more land. And you're being oppressed, suppressed, with no respect to your well-being, human rights. Periodically, they will fight back. So that's what they did. And it's important they continue to do it so that the Jews will be reminded periodically that there is no hope in occupation. You have to respect the UN Resolution 242 that said you should move back from occupied territory.
All right,
and when the Jews kill Palestinians, it's all fine. Israel has the right to defend himself. And when the Palestinians attack the Jews because of the injustice, it becomes terrorism. There's this double standard in the Western countries. The issue is injustice. The issue is give them back their land, go back to the border determined by the UN, and then there will be peace.
All right, then. Thank you for your view on that one. But some, we've had this back and forth on
Christians
the position
Christians
of Israel.
think that Christianity came from Judaism, but the Jews have no respect for Christianity. To Orthodox Jews, Christianity is idolatry. Christians better know that. How can God be three? If you're worshiping more than one God, it's idolatry. But we go to Israel, and the Israelis see Christians as people who don't know what they are doing. But because the tourism brings them money, they encourage it. So let's take away religion from this thing and deal with the politics. The Jews were not there until 1948. In 1917, Otto Balfour, the British Foreign Secretary, promised the Jews a homeland in Palestine during the First World War because they needed Jewish support to fight the Germans. And so on and so forth. Let me
All right,
leave
let's not go too deep into that. Now let's talk. We do apologize for that break at the time. You know, there was a glitch somewhere there. Now let's get into the conversation today. All right, we're talking about the governorship election in Bayelsa State, where the candidate of the APC has been disqualified by a court. Now, this is the person of Timothy Silva. He has since filed an appeal against the judgment. Now, Silva, in a notice of appeal filed by his lawyer, Ahmed Raji SAN, prayed the court to set aside the judgment. The election is slated for November 11. The immediate past Minister of Petroleum also filed a stay of execution of the judgment. Recall that Justice Donatus Okorowo of a federal high court, Abuja, in a judgment he delivered Monday night, disqualified the APC candidate from contesting in the poll. Justice Okorowo had held that Silva, having been sworn in twice and ruled for 5 years as governor of the state, would breach the 1999 constitution as amended if allowed to contest again. So here we are now, talking about this. Before we started the show, we're going on about your thoughts on this. Unfortunately, that conversation got intense, but I want us to bring that intensity here now. Is it against your view now? The law is saying it's against the Constitution to want to run again after having been sworn in twice. What are your views?
Well, in the Constitution you have lacunas, but my understanding is that you cannot be sworn in 3 times consecutively. But after you've been a governor and you've been the governor for 2 terms, and then 10 years later you choose to run again, I don't think the law has anything against it. It's not consecutive swearing in, but every Nigerian has the right to vote and the right to be voted for. So you've been a governor and you go back to being just a regular Nigerian citizen.
No, he wasn't. He became a minister.
Yeah, he was a governor.
Yes, okay.
And finished being a governor. And then he could have become a headmaster, a principal, a taxi driver, or a minister, or chairman of a party. But I think he reserves the right to run again if he chooses to, because it's not continuous. But most former governors will not go back to the trenches of trying to be a governor again, because it's like you've outgrown it. You ran for office, you won, and you've been a governor, you've enjoyed the prerogatives, the perks of office, the pomp and pageantry. And now you're going back to seek nomination, get insulted, argue with other contestants.
Campaign.
There will be mudslinging, campaigning. People will be poking into your personal life, prying into what school you went to, the certificates you have, are they forged and all that. Most people would not do it a second time, but I don't think it's illegal.
Okay, now this is what he's praying the courts now. He's saying he has raised 3 grounds because he says, according to him, Justice Okorowo in the judgment wrongfully assumed jurisdiction by delving into internal affairs of his party. That's talking about the APC, which is a non-justiciable cause of action, and thereby occasions a grave miscarriage of justice. So it's pegging it at a miscarriage of justice, pegging the judgment against him, running again. And then he also said that ground 2 is that the justice Okorowo erred in law when he wrongly conferred, allowed, and adjudicated on the matter when the respondent had no locus standi to initiate or institute the action, having confessed not to have participated in the primary election that produced him as governor, a candidate of the APC, thereby another miscarriage of justice against him. All right, so these are the grounds on which he's contesting there's a third one though, grounds on which he's contesting the judgment of the court, preventing him from running for office a third time. Running for office a third time, you have said it's not you don't think it's against the Constitution, but we know that the 1999 Constitution as amended is being quoted here as as being breached if he's allowed to run again. But morally speaking, I know you pointed to a few things earlier, wanting to go through the mudslinging and all of that, but morally speaking, should a person in a system where we know we have a lot of people contesting, should the party be fielding the same individual after many years of not being in office and coming back?
There are too many Nigerians, 200 million Nigerians, and too many political aspirants. But in the final analysis, very few of them will ever get to be presidents, governors, senators, members of House. And the question is, what is the criteria for being the president or member of House or winning an elective office? The criteria, I think, is that the people you have the support of the people. So every Nigerian, if he's qualified and he has the support of the people, then morality is not a factor. It's like the very few that are chosen by the people are the few that will lead. So I don't see anything moral about it. He can run for 20, 40 times if it's possible, if it's acceptable to the people. Some people have run for office for 10 times, 20 times before they won the office. Why didn't we talk about moral and say this man has been running for
No, those were running before winning. This is somebody who has been a governor.
Yes.
Twice.
Wants to run again.
Was sworn in twice.
Yeah, but if the people want him, if he has what it takes to lead the people, it's about government of the people, by the people, for the people. So if people say, this is the man we want.
Being an analyst, being a political analyst, and having observed the system for as long as you have, would you say this is about the people?
Nigeria politics.
This particular politics, this particular this particular desire to contest for a political position as the governor of a state, is this about the people?
It may not be about the people, but the people have the final say. The people make their choice. And you cannot choose for the people. In making that choice, the people reserve the right to be wrong. They reserve the right to be right. So if the people choose thieves to lead them, that's their choice. If the people are swayed by Gary, packages of Gary, rice and crayfish, if they vote, you might feel bad about it, it may be wrong, but that's their choice. And ultimately, the people are the repository of political power. So the question is this man, you can run as many times as you want. Morality is not an aspect of it. We are not sharing rice in a dining table where you say everybody must get 3 scoops of rice. And if somebody gets 4, the other person gets 2, then it's not right, it's unjust. But so the party should decide. If the party want him and if the people want him, yes, let him be the next governor. There's nothing about morality to it. Very few individuals can ever get to that political pedestal.
All right, and so in your opinion, Governor Tinubu Silva should proceed. The court should allow him continue.
Yes.
All right, but the party now. Let's see. What do you make of the political party itself? That's the APC. Should we now say that they don't have enough contenders in the party, that an individual will want to come up again, or he's the strongest man in the state as it is currently?
Well, I cannot speak for him. I don't know what they have and what they don't have. And I don't know about the process that brought him up. So we know that sometimes party, what do they call them? Party delegates behave as hustlers in a street market who are out to do the bidding of the highest, the highest bidder, you know. So whatever threw him off, whether it was money, connection, is that's party internal affairs. So whatever threw him off is fine. There may have been so many, some step down. We watched the APC convention for the presidential election. Many announced their intention to run, but stepped down for Jagaban. So maybe others may have stepped down from, I don't know what happened. But I believe he has the moral, legal authority to run, to run if he wants to.
All right, then. So let's move away from this. Let's go to another topic. Yoruba Nation agitator Sunday Adeyemo, popularly known as Sunday Igboho, has been granted his freedom by authorities of Benin Republic, and also the embattled activist who had been facing legal proceedings revealed on Sunday that he was now legally able to leave Cotonou, the capital of Benin Republic, and travel to Nigeria and other countries. In his statement to the Nigerian, to a paper, a regular daily, Sunday Igboho declared, let me quote him now. He says, "I am now free to return to Nigeria and visit any country in the world. I have fulfilled all the legal conditions attached to my bail a few years back, and I am coming home to Nigeria, my country of origin, any moment from now." And then he went on to say that I can confirm to you that I am now free to come back to Nigeria. There is no legal encumbrance again. Even though I have been living in Cotonou for some time, I can confirm to you categorically that I have now secured the liberty to leave Cotonou for Nigeria. Now, this marks a significant development for the man, Sunday Igboho, who had been entangled in legal proceedings for 2 years in Benin Republic. His legal troubles began, if you do recall, when he declared the sovereignty of the Yoruba nation in March 2021. Now, he initiated a campaign to expel killer headsmen and kidnappers from the southwestern states and called on Yoruba people residing in areas predominantly occupied by Hausa, Fulani, or Igbo communities to return to their homeland. Now, we all, this is the Sunday Igboho case. This is what it is. So, the man is free. Reports also said that he was headed to Germany to meet the family members there, and then from there he'll probably come back home to Nigeria. You also recall that when he was arrested, there was the tussle, the talk about why was he detained over there in Benin? Why wasn't he brought back to Nigeria to face what was said to be crimes against him? What do you make of this?
Well, first of all, let me state that I am opposed to any form of secessionist agitation. That's why I've not paid much attention to Igboho and its secessionist movement. And you have all these secessionists with their propaganda saying crazy things like Nigeria was a forced union. People were forced to become Nigerians, as though there was a country created by God. Most countries of the world were welded together by force of arm and by blood. We keep talking about America when we want to look for, when we talk about examples of democracy, human rights. But we know that America was welded together by a war. There was an American Civil War. The southern U.S. wanted to secede, and the North, the federal government refused, and there was a war for, I think, for about 4 years, and the South was defeated. So America, by the definition of the secessionist in Nigeria, is a forced marriage. China was welded together by Mao Zedong after he defeated Chiang Kai-shek and his nationalist army, and they ran from mainland China to Formosa, that's Taiwan. Okay, so China was welded together by blood, by force. The sovereignty or unity of the U.S. is non-negotiable. Nobody can break up the US. China, the sovereignty of China, the unity of China is non-negotiable. Why would the unity of Nigeria be negotiable? So I am an ardent, unrepentant, hardline proponent of one Nigeria. I don't believe in any form of secession. So Igboho and his group, I don't know what they are doing, but I know that Igboho is being sponsored, being teleguided by some powerful Yoruba interests. And once he has that kind of backing, of course, they will, every legal issue plaguing him will be temporarily. With time, they will all be resolved because he has powerful interests working in his to protect him.
Right. So, but what is the difference now between Sunday Igboho, who was held in Benin Republic, and another secessionist held back in Nigeria, whom the court actually have said he should be free to go? That's Nnamdi Kanu. What is the difference between the two of them? Now Igboho has regained freedom. As we can see it, the government of Benin upheld the judgment of the court and he has been asked to go. But the government of Nigeria has not paid attention to the judgment of the court in Nigeria, asking the man, another successionist in the person of Nnamdi Kanu, to go. Government has refused to obey court orders in that regard. What do you make of that?
Let me go back a little in history, and then you see the problem of the Igbos and their secession, okay? Their attempt at secession. In July, on July 29, 1996, Ironsi was killed. And the people that killed Ironsi, the leader of the coup was Murtala Mohammed, and the person that actually captured Ironsi at Ibadan was Theophilus Danjuma. And Murtala Mohammed made it very clear that we are into Araba. Araba in Hausa means separation. We want to secede from Nigeria. But the Northern power elite were not crazy about Araba. So they talked to Murtala Mohammed and his men, and they abandoned the Araba approach. A few months later, this was July 1926, about 1 year later, we had a young man with his problem of the intoxicating blend of youth and power wanting to secede. The Igbo elite did not want secession, but he didn't listen to them. He shoved them to the side. Great men, knowledgeable men, experienced men like Zeke, Timba and Kaleba, Amayo Okpara, and so many of them. A 33-year-old man ignored them, intimidated them, discredited them, shoved them aside, and moved on, and led the Igbos in a pit. The hot enthusiasm of youth, the impetuousness of youth, without experience, without knowledge, got us into a pit. And as the war raged, or the trouble of the time raged, those military men fell back to listen to the old politicians. Go brought Shetima Ngonu, Shehu Shagari, Aminu Kanu around him. In the West, Awolowo remained important. Even at the federal government, it was important. In the East, there was none of those politicians to guide Ojukwu. So it's the problem with the Igbos. I called it nihilism in Biafranism. They start as though you have to destroy everything that has been built already to establish Biafra. And each time he puts us into trouble. Nnamdi Kanu is a renegade. He operates on his own, has no respect for Igbo institutions, no respect for Igbo politicians, no respect for Igbo kings, no respect for Igbo leaders of any sort. Everybody is a fool. Everybody is an idiot. Everybody is a slave to Northern Hausa Fulani. He's the only right man. And that's why he's in trouble. The Igbos after 1970 built up, from scratch, built up something magnificent, something admirable. It may not have been perfect, But you cannot come and shove everything to the side and say that all was done already was nonsense. Yours is the only true way. That's why he's into trouble. He has mass appeal. He appeals to the masses, which in turn intimidates the Igbo elite because they don't know how to deal with him. So the Igboho issue and the Nnamdi Kanu issue ostensibly are the same, but in some ways they are not the same. So Nnamdi Kanu, I don't know what is happening, but he's reaping what he has sown.
In what ways are they not the same? In the violence that have gone
yes,
around?
Nnamdi Kanu. Another thing with Nnamdi Kanu is that Igboho started his movement to fight the Fulani headsmen. And then when the additional, say, Yorubas from in other parts of Nigeria should come back, we want to secede. Nnamdi Kanu started in 2014, and that was Goodluck Jonathan was in power. Then there was no, Fulani headsmen did not constitute a major menace. And so he started with his Biafranism, but had to adapt his movement to the insinuating circumstances. But overall, he has killed a lot of innocent Igbos within their own power struggle circle. He has also, with their sit at home or their lockdowns, those that disobeyed the lockdowns were punished, some were killed. So it's internal terror. Why kill your own people in an attempt to fight the federal government? Why would destroy Igbo businesses, kill innocent Igbos in an attempt to get Biafra? How would that yield to Biafra? And so his own case is a little different. Many Igbos are very wary of him. And Igbo power elite colluded with the federal government in the Python dance because they didn't know how to handle it. You have to respect. We've had revolutions in the world where it started by the elderly, reinvigorated by the youth. In South Africa, Mandela and co. After the 60s, in the 60s, they were jailed. And nobody heard about the anti-apartheid movement again till 1976, when the students in Soweto started rioting. But as the students rioted, and a man like Ramaphosa, the present president, walking through the labor unions to frustrate apartheid, they all drew inspiration from Mandela and his group. That is the old order. They respected what was built already. They respected what was there already. They just invigorated it, brought new blood into it. In the Middle East, Yasser Arafat and the PLO were dislodged from Beirut, thrown to Tunisia. See where Tunisia is. Tunisia to Israel is so far away. How can you maintain the struggle from Tunisia to Israel? So they were made ineffective, rendered redundant. It was the intifada of the youths, the uprising of the youths. But as the youths started their uprising, they took instructions from the PLO. The PLO instructed them, even if you have a gun, do not use it. Create the image of David and Goliath, where young people are throwing stones and they are being shot at. And that tarnished the image of Israel. It touched the conscience of the world. And the Israelis couldn't handle it. A soldier comes to arrest a 15-year-old boy. His grandmother grabs the soldier by the waist. The mother holds him by the shirt. The sister holds him by the hand. The soldier is struggling with a family. They were not trained for that. So it unnerved the Israelis. And what did they do? They went back to make peace with PLO. That's why you have Palestinian administration. It was the uprising. Mandela and his group were in jail. It was the uprising of the youth that got the apartheid system to go back to Mandela. How do we handle it? And apartheid collapsed. But in Igbo land, the youth start and discard all that was there already, shove them to the side, call them saboteurs, call them slaves, and each time end up in the pit. That's what is happening.
Now, when you look at, I will have to bring up what happened. Something happened earlier this year when some individuals who said they were acting for the Yoruba nation, they acted as Yoruba nation agitators, invaded Radio Nigeria television station radio station, I beg your pardon, a Radio Nigeria radio station to declare the commencement of Yoruba Nation. They destroyed properties, manhandled the presenters and workers on duty. It was a coordinated disruption. It happened in Ibadan, and some of the parts, I think I can't remember the exact places now, but it happened in 2 or 3 places around, the southwest. Happened in a few places, and they were arrested and all that. Do you think that could have escalated if it wasn't nipped in the bud? Such agitations.
Arresting the invaders,
the Yoruba Nation agitators.
Was nipping it in the bud. How many IPOB members have been arrested? Biafran revolutionaries. I don't call itself Biafran revolutionaries. How many have been arrested and killed? But the struggle continues. The thing is, in Yoruba land, the Yorubas have respect for tradition. The Yorubas have respect for age, for the elders. They have respect for their institutions and culture.
And the Igbos don't?
I'm coming. And very little can happen out of that Yoruba structure and consensus. They must all be brought back to an established way of doing things. There might be renegade groups here and there, but they cannot thrive in Yoruba land. They will not get the support of the Yorubas if the elders do not approve of it. In Igbo land, before the white man came, the institutions were very weak. And that helped the Igbos in some respect because there was no institution, no culture, nothing tying them down. So they could readily adapt into the new order, do well with the white man because they have no strings, no drawbacks. But because the institutions are weak, we don't have strong institutions to hold the individual in check. So it becomes money and success that is important to the Igbo man, not age, not institution, not culture. So a Yoruba man is a billionaire, but he sees an elderly man who is poor. He greets him, he bends down. In Igbo man, money is law, money is culture, money is age, money is everything. Success, money, power, they are everything. So the institutions do not matter. Yes, Igbos are disadvantaged historically, and then we got compounded with Biafranism. Biafranism destroyed what was earlier built by the foresighted, committed, knowledgeable Igbos like the Azikiwes and all that. Ojukwu destroyed what they had built, wanted to build his own, it collapsed with him. So now Igbo land is no man's land. Anything can happen, anything goes, nothing traditional, nothing cultural, no institution, indigenous institution to hold people in check. Yes, Igbo land cannot be compared to Yoruba land, no.
All right, so would you say this has put an end to the Yoruba Nation agitation?
I don't know what is happening with the Yoruba Nation agitation, but nothing in the Yoruba Nation, nothing among Yorubas can happen without the approval of the elders. If you go against the elders, everybody will abandon you. You don't get anybody's support. Okay, so a 33-year-old man cannot come and start a movement. The elders in Yoruba will call him back. And when he comes, he lies down flat before them. And they tell him what to do or what they expect of him. And that's what he does. If he does not, he loses mass support. In Igbo land, nobody cares about the elder. A semi-criminal, a 419er, because he has money, can insult a retired professor in Igbo land with popular applause. So it's all about money, it's all about your power, not age, not tradition, not culture.
No, this would. Don't you think this statement now would make the Igbos feel offended when you make it sound as if they are more money conscious and they respect the person with money as against the person that has age and years and experience?
When I was growing up, we were taught to respect our elders. And
Now,
I still have that.
Is it now an Igbo thing or a generational thing?
It was an Igbo thing, but it got compounded. Like I said, after Biafra. Biafra destroyed what was built up by people like the Azikiwes, the Timber and Calibers, those that led us into the era of modernity. It was before Zeke came back. Igbo land was the backwaters of Nigeria. So those that led us into the era of modernity built up a structure which Ojukwu destroyed. He wanted to build his own, and it collapsed with him. So we have no structure. So even the weak structure we had disintegrated. So now there's no structure. So it was a problem all along, but it got compounded with generational shift. And Igbos will say, we are Republicans, which I think is nonsensical. There can be, Masetong said, freedom without law is dead, something like that. You're Republican, you're individualistic, but you have no overriding, no societal, what's the word, something controlling the individual is very dangerous. So yes, it got bad over the years because of the craze for money in Nigeria and lack of institutions in Igbo land. Yes, it got bad. It got the generational shift or paradigm shift added to it, but it was there already to a lower extent.
All right, so let's get your final thoughts in now. So what do you see, final thoughts basically? I was going to ask another question, but let's get your final thoughts in on this.
On secession, the secessionist agitation should stop what they are doing. To me, it's all nonsensical. Nigeria is not breaking up. And Nigeria can't even break up.
Shouldn't the court of law also respect, I mean, shouldn't the executive arm of government respect the court of law as well, as you know?
Yeah, no, it's definitely wrong to keep holding a man that has been set free by the court, okay? But if you are an activist, you live with the rules of the activist. Mahatma Gandhi, who was an activist, said, only if I die for India will I know that my life was worth living. Martin Luther King Jr., who was an activist, said, I have conquered the fear of death. I know that we will get to the promised land, but I may not get there with you, okay? He died on the way to the promised land. Malcolm X was asked, are you afraid for your life? Another activist said, afraid for my life? I am dead already. I must die in this struggle. I'm just counting days. So if you have decided to be an activist, then you have to be prepared for the exigencies, the demands of activism. You cannot be an activist and want to be having fun. An activist gets, Mahatma Gandhi also said, jail is jail for thieves and rapists. For me, it is a temple. An activist must be ready to be arrested. An activist must be ready to handle the rigors of activism and possibly die in the process. So when you are an activist and you want the comfortable life of a movie star, you are mistaken. So you have chosen to lead your people. You are taking decisions, actions that will impact the lives of millions of people, and you're worrying about your own life. You are a dangerous leader. You're a selfish leader. So my point, I don't believe in Biafranism, but if you have chosen to lead Biafranism, be prepared for all that comes with it. Ojukwu in the end caught and ran away. I still write up to today that Ojukwu should have died with Biafra. Adolf Hitler died with Nazism. We saw Gaddafi die with Gaddafism. We saw the man in, what's his name? Saddam Hussein die with Husseinism. Should have died with Ojukwuism and Biafranism. So don't lead people into trouble, get them killed, and abandon them and run away. That's my only advice to Biafran activists, if you are for real. But if you're not for real, get off the thing, get it off, stay away from it. So that's my, on Sylvia and Co. Sylvia, like all Nigerian politicians, are in for what they can get. APC is a crooked political party. They do what they want. I don't know why they are choosing Sylvia for the second time, but it's their choice. It's their business. It's nothing of this is done for the interest of the Nigerian masses. It's just to reinforce personal interest, cliquish interest, advance other interests. So, Nadem Wahala.
That's your conclusion, Madam Wahala. All right. Okay. Well, we must say very thank you to Chukwu Ezukama, an author and a public affairs commentator, for coming on the program. He says, well, it is all our wahala to have a nation that is standing, a nation where laws are upheld, and a nation that is together. All right. Well, this is Voice of the People, and I say thank you very much for watching. Political Voice will make a return, same time tomorrow. I'm Moses Humphrey. Bye for now.